Hey, how y'all doing out there on a Sunday afternoon? How's it going? Last day of January 31st. Man, did 2021 get off to a quick start. We are already here at the end of the month. Man, I know we had a full month of things happen this month, but we are at the end. How are y'all doing in Atlanta Bird Gang on my timeline on YouTube, Steve Sports Talk and more. Thank you all for joining me. How's it going? Uh, just been a lot of things going on in the world of the NFL, more importantly, in the world of the Atlanta Falcons. Seems like we finally rounded out most of our coaching staff. So we'll get into that a little later on. Also, we'll get into mock draft mania. So many mock drafts around here, I have lost count, but we'll try to go through it together and see if there are anything that you guys want to talk about as far as a certain draft pick or a potential draft pick you saw that might catch your eye. I know they had the Senior Bowl yesterday. A lot of prospects I watched for a little bit. Didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but definitely picked. And, speaking of which, I was just thinking, I said, man, that guy Ellinger from Texas, remember when he first came out and everybody was saying he was going to be the cat's meow and all of that stuff? And you haven't heard him spoken about at all during the whole draft process. So it just goes to show you got to strike when the fire is hot, man. I mean, when the iron's hot, that is. I mean, he was the hottest thing 2 years ago, hottest quarterback. And you don't even hear him mentioned in the top 5, 6, sometimes even 7 of quarterbacks coming out. Got a chance to look at Jamie Newman yesterday, the Bulldog trader, as most of the people will know around here. So that was interesting in itself. Also, we talk about the Matt Stafford, Jared Goff switch up. Guys be changing zip codes this year, and that was a little bit of a surprise. Not a surprise once you found out that Stafford was leaving, but that was a pretty good get for the Rams. And really with Goff, he's still going to get paid and gets a chance to recreate himself in Detroit. That's going to be an interesting matchup there. But for the Rams, boy, if you can keep Stafford upright, that might not be a bad situation at all. I'm pretty sure Seattle and San Francisco are not happy about that move at all. And also, last but not least, Deshaun Watson. All the rumors about where, what if, how can we bring him here and whatever. Is Deshaun Watson worth the price? Is he truly worth the price? Again, thanks for joining us in. I want to thank everyone online for their very nice happy birthday wishes during this week. Turned ripe for 52. I feel 42. Well, actually, I feel 32 in my mind. So it was really nice. And I thank you all for all the kind words and everything everyone has passed along the way. How you doing there, brother Jonathan? What's going on? Yes, snowy. Dude, I heard about that. Not nor'easter up there in your neck of the woods. Please stay safe and stay warm up there in the Northeast, sir. Dub, how you doing? Acquisitions and trades can be made even with caps. Okay. Cap hits. Oh, yeah, I hear you. What's going on, Charles? How you doing? Said, I feel a change coming to the Falcons, a change for the better with all the new staffing. What you say? I am excited. More excited, Charles, that this is just something new. I know it's so easy for us as fans to sit back and say, yeah, it's the same old Falcons. We're going to make this trade. I mean, we're going to make this pick because that's what the Falcons do. The Falcons, this is the first time in more than 12 years that we're going into a draft with a different set of eyes looking at talent, a different philosophy looking at talent. Even though we've had 2 coaching changes with Smith back in 08 and Quinn in 15, this is the first time we've had a non-Thomas Dimitroff draft in Atlanta. So the first time somebody since 2007 has put their eyes on the talent out there and is making the decisions. I like that. I like the fact that we get a chance to do something different, see something different. Maybe not have the same eyes pick all these underachieving offensive linemen. I shouldn't say that. I actually like the last two guys, Lindstrom and McGarry. I think they're going to be fine. And Jake Matthews, he's been okay for what it's worth. But, the Peter Kahns of the draft, the Wes Schreibers, and I know he was a lower pick, but still, maybe somebody else who can pick these guys in the trenches. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do as far as that's concerned. Brother Orion says, even if we have a bad season this year, I wouldn't be mad because at least we made a change. And Orion, that's one thing that people are going to have to realize. I hope everyone has patience this year. 2021 is not only going to be a year of change, but it's got to be a year of patience for Falcons fans. It may not turn around as quick as you want it to. Just because we have new people in town doesn't mean that we automatically turn into a juggernaut in 1 year. Now, I could tell you reasons why we could have a quick turnaround going into 2021. But if we don't, I hope we don't just, as we tend to do when things don't go our way, we crap on the first thing going. We can't do that. We got to have some patience with some of these folks out here because this is their first time doing the draft, Smith and Terry Fontenot. So yeah, let's give them a hand and see what they can do. Dub J, I'm assuming you're talking about they're holding him hostage. I'm assuming you're talking about Deshaun Watson. When I talked about him, Deshaun Watson is going to be very interesting how that whole scenario ends up. I like Deshaun Watson a lot. I'm not sure if Deshaun Watson is going to be worth mortgaging the next 2 or 3 years worth of new talent coming in, because in order to get Deshaun Watson, you're probably going to have to give up, probably for our situation, you're going to have to give up quite a few draft picks, and you might have to give up one of your young talents. I say maybe Calvin, maybe AJ Terrell, maybe. I'm not sure how that works out, but let's hope that that's not the case. Seems like you may have to give up something in order to get him in here. It's going to be a great move for some team, the Jets or maybe even Miami, where they end up recouping that same draft pick back. But is Deshaun really worth the amount that it's going to take to get him? I'm not sure. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know. What's going on, Brother Glenn? How you doing today? Good to see you joining us. I'm going to start off the conversation today talking about these mock drafts. And everyone's going to have an opinion. I don't want everybody to get upset when certain folks say, well, we need to get an offensive lineman. Well, we get Justin Fields. Well, we get Trey Lance or Zach Wilson. That's usually what happens. You're going to have a various amount of ideas because all of us are GMs, and the Atlanta Bird Gang Group is 33,000 GMs that have different ways on how they want to change Atlanta. What I want to make sure we do is the folks that are in charge now, that we don't put the Dimitroff stamp on them. Let them make their own decisions, and let's see how it works out. Maybe there is a plan. Now, does Steve have a plan? I have a plan as well. My plan is probably going to be different from what a lot of other people are thinking right now. While it's nice to say, let's get an offensive lineman, let's get a couple of pieces here and make this team as strong as we can for Matt's last year and not address the future until next year. That's a thought. There are some people that say, you know what, let's scrap the whole thing, get rid of all the veterans. I saw somebody on one of the posts the other day say, get rid of Grady, which, I don't even know where that came from. But again, I tried to just look there and say, okay, I understand. But there are some people that do. They want to say blow it up. They're serious. When these folks say blow up the franchise and just start it over from scrap, there are people that actually think that. I don't think that. But what do we do in this draft? What is your thought on this first pick, and how do we manage that? Go around here. Brother Donovan says, hashtag help Grady. Exactly. Brother Miles, how you doing? Say, I need a lecture. You jumped down. It jumped down on me. Let me get back to that comment. Miles. Brother Miles says, I don't know where it went to, Miles. Orion says, but honestly, if the coaches we have are able to get the right players they want, we can be a contender. Well, I'm pretty sure Arthur Blank is going to surround this guy, Smith and Fontenot, with all the help they can. Listen, you don't make a hire like this unless you commit to helping them out and what they need. Arthur Blank has I have yet to see a case where Thomas Dimitrov needed something or needed a player, and they didn't somehow work their way in to draft them or bring them in as a free agent, or try to bring them in as a free agent. Did some of the decisions work? No. But as far as Arthur Blank, I think he's going to be very helpful to these guys coming in, especially being their first year. Especially. Frank, how you doing, brother? Frank said he is a great player, but he's not worth all that. I'm sure you're talking about Deshaun Watson. Listen, Deshaun Watson might be talent-wise one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, talent-wise. Where everybody's just getting ready to jump on me and say, you said he's a top 5 quarterback. That's not what I said. I said talent-wise, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Is it worth mortgaging that many picks? I don't think it is. I don't think you do that. That's not how I think. RJ says, how do you feel about Kyle Smith hire, Brother Steven? I said, I think it's an underrated addition, and I love it. I actually like that move as well. Bringing somebody in that's also going to help the new regime, get on his feet. He had some dealings out there with the Washington football team. So hopefully he'll be able to come in here and help this new regime get off to a good start. Antonio, anyone thinking we're gonna have an absolute winning season? They got to know history, only had 2 first-time head coaches that made a Super Bowl. Not saying we don't have an okay season, but Super Bowl dreams, I don't see it this year. Now, I'm not going to deny anybody's joy in saying, yeah, we're going to make it to the Super Bowl. But you're right. Yeah, I would kind of I would just, what's the word I'm looking for? I would contain myself as far as thinking we're going to have this out of this world year coming on. Brother Marcus, how you doing, sir? Good to see you in the stream today. Frank says, my plan would be to trade back and get more picks at this and next year, then get the best player on the board. But I would like to go back as far as 13. I'm going to get to that in 1 second, Frank. I'm going to read one more thing. Jimmy says trade back, so because this is along the same lines. Trade back, hope we land Parsons. We need a good 4th linebacker if we go in 4-3 and go with a big DT like Lewis. Running back just depends on who they feel fits the mode. Antonio, we need to not pick up any washed up players. Miles says, Steven, how are you feeling about Calvin Ridley's extension and keeping Foye Oluokun? I like both of those things are going to happen. I think Foye, he still has one more year. I think they'll be looking probably closer to the middle of the year to try to re-sign him. So some of that money can go in like that. Brother JR, I got you on here, sir. I'm gonna send you a link. I'm gonna work on that in 1 second. Let me go back to Frank and Jimmy real quick before we go any further and bring you in here, Jay. The trade back thought. The only thing I say about that, and I don't want to get into these guys' heads because they may be thinking trade back thought. I'm telling you what I'm thinking. If I have the number 4 pick in the draft, and this is one of the first years in probably 3 or 4, but at least 5 years. I know they had a nice draft with the one that Allen and Deshaun and all those guys, that 2-year span with Mahomes, Watson, Allen, and those guys came out. But you have an opportunity to get your future now. You have an opportunity to draft your future now. This is not a give up 100% on whatever 10% of his career Matt Ryan has left. But this is saying one way or the other, Falcons fans, organization, we are turning the page on what was Thomas Dimitroff's club. And to make that particular pick, I think would draw a very nice dividing line between anything this franchise did before and what we're doing going forward. So my thought is get your next franchise quarterback sitting in the office, sitting in the room, sitting in the Zoom room or whatever they're doing. Hopefully we'll be better by then, but who knows? And let's get that person groomed up. It's real nice to say trade back, but we don't know what the quarterback talent is going to look like next year. It could be kind of like I was telling you about Ellinger. Ellinger thought he was going to be the big-time quarterback and no doubt top 5 quarterback coming out this year. And I don't even hear him being mentioned in the 3rd or 4th round. So sometimes you have to catch these guys while they're hot. And I think at some time between 2022 and 2023, I think you're going to see Trevor Lawrence starting. I think you're going to see Justin Fields starting. I think you're going to see Trey Lance starting. I think you're going to see Zach Wilson starting. And there's an outside chance that you're going to see either Mac Jones, or Kyle Trask maybe get an opportunity. But if you're at the number 4 pick and you're telling me that a linebacker should be your number 1 pick. Now, unless that linebacker happens to be somebody that you're thinking is going to be the next Khalil Mack or somebody that's going to be the next Von Miller or something like that, then I could say, but I don't judge these guys out like that. I don't think so. You go with your quarterback. You're at number 4, you get your quarterback. And now you're at a point that, say Deshaun Watson does end up possibly making a move inside. You have to look at this. The Jets might be saying, hey, we'll give up Darnold to the Texans. We'll get Deshaun. They won't be thinking about a quarterback. I have no idea what Miami's going to do with that number 3 pick. Then you got to worry about people wanting to swoop in. Our friends up in Charlotte might be wanting to swoop in and get them a quarterback. I'm not sure they're totally thrilled about what Teddy Bridgewater did this year. And then our main guy, Drew Brees, who hasn't officially announced his retirement yet. I'm kind of surprised. But he might be on the way out. So you got to start thinking about catching these guys before somebody else catches them. And you'll be on that. What would have happened if the Falcons drafted this guy? kind of thing. So I don't know. So let's go here. Okay. Orion says the GM said they are going after the best player on the board when that's our pick, which is good because every position on our team needs to earn their position and check, especially at the quarterback, because no one knows Matt hasn't had anyone behind him to take his spot. I listen, I think that's GM speak when they say they're going to take the best person on the board. I hear this offensive tackle is off everybody's chart as far as talent is concerned this year. So it would probably make sense if anybody who gets him is going to be in good shape. I still think the Falcons are taking a quarterback. I hear what they're saying. No one wants to show their hand right now. And I don't blame them. It's January 31st. If you go out here on January 31st and tell the free world we're getting a quarterback, that's what we're getting, don't talk to us, don't make deals with us unless we're going to get a quarterback, you kind of defeat the whole purpose. You kind of have to play a little bit of, kind of have to bluff a little bit. Was it Texas Hold'em? You have to bluff a little bit with some of these guys. Everybody doesn't know what they're doing. You don't give away your whole game plan yet. Not yet. Anthony says, more than likely we won't get this high a pick again. Take the best quarterback available. That is my thought, Anthony. You may not get this opportunity again. You may not. Aaron, Steve, give me some insight on the cornerback position because they definitely have to look at that spot. Surtain is the highest rated guy that they have, but it's another cat that I saw, and I apologize, Aaron. I'm gonna have to go back and look, but I was looking at Todd McShay's Todd McShay from ESPN, his top 100 players, and there was another cornerback he had on the list, and I have my computers all on 4 different things right now, so I'll have to go back. We're gonna have a whole segment dedicated to that coming up as far as each week, kind of looking at prospects at each position. As far as cornerback is definitely something we need to look into. And we have cornerbacks right now, journeyman quarterbacks that are leaving. Bleedaway Wilson is a free agent. DeQuaz Denard, who did a really good job for us at times this year, he's a free agent. So really, when you start looking at it, you only have the guys that are still on the team, Sheffield, Oliver, that are in your cornerback spots right now. So you do have to look at that position. You're absolutely correct. Antonio, we do not pick up a quarterback in this draft this year. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Did I read that? We did not pick up quarterback in this draft. We may not have an opportunity at a quarterback coming out of college for at least the next 2 seasons. I do not see any college quarterbacks to brag about next year as far as drafting for the future. And that's my thought too. I don't see anyone at this time. But again, you also had folks that kind of helped their stock a lot this year. Mac Jones definitely helped his stock going into this year, as did Kyle Trask, even though it was a name we had already heard. Zach Wilson tremendously helped his stock this year, where a lot of positioning has Zach Wilson ahead of Justin Fields. Who would have thought that last year this time? Michael says, happy birthday. Thank you there, Michael. Hope it was a fun one. Why aren't you wearing your new jersey since it took so long for you to get in the mail? Listen, I was going to tell the story today. I don't know if y'all, not today, yesterday. I got a FedEx package and I saw the package. I was like, oh, what is that? And I looked at the thing and it's like NFL shop. What is this? A Todd Gurley jersey, the Vapor White jersey. After, I think the first day that you could order the jerseys, that was the day I ordered the jersey. Along with Debo and Grady and Julio, which all of those took a while too. Don't get me wrong. I didn't get a lot of those until September. But yeah, man, I got it. I probably should have worn it. probably being lazy, birthday weekend, just chilling out. Thank you for the kind wishes. But I promise you, I'll have it because I'm not going to have anything else to do with it. I guess I'll hang it on the wall over here, down here in the man cave. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. One hit wonder, because barring him foolishly taking a 1-year contract to at minimum, I don't think he's gonna do it. Mike says, I also want Fields or the kid from BYU. You're probably not gonna go wrong with either one of those picks. Tidy, brother, how you doing, sir? I agree. If we get the top 5 pick about once every 12 to 15 years, we have to take advantage of it. What good does it do for a 4-12 team to trade out of the top 5? And that makes so much sense that it makes my head hurt that people want to trade down. Listen, I understand that we need a lot of holes filled. But the one hole that you don't get an opportunity to fill on the regular is quarterback. And this is shaping up to be one of the better top-heavy quarterback classes in a minute, meaning they're judging 4 to 5 of these quarterbacks to be in your top 15. You have to take advantage of that right now. You're going to mess around, trade back to 11 or 12, thinking Trey Lance is going to be there because he hadn't played in major college football, and you're going to mess around and the Panthers will pick him up, and Lord forbid the Saints trade up and jump into the top 10 and get them. I'm just throwing out scenarios, and then we'll be on that show 10 years from now on NFL Network. What if the Falcons would have traded? I mean, what if the Falcons would have picked this person? What if the Falcons would have picked this? Just like we do a lot of times with the Hawks. What if the Hawks would have picked Chris Paul instead of Marvin Williams? But that's a whole nother story. That'll be on Steve Sports Talk on YouTube. So we'll check that out later on. But good point. Good point. Octavius, we better grab our future quarterback now. Who knows when he will be in this situation again? Caleb Farley is actually somebody that's pretty good. What's going on, Brother Ron? That is a name that I have definitely heard. Tidy says, contrary to popular fan base belief, I think safety is a bigger concern for us in the draft. I'm pretty sure we will lose both of our starting safeties in the offseason. And it's funny, I was on a post, I want to say it was either Friday or Saturday, Tidy, where I was talking to somebody about that exact same thing, where they were talking about getting a cornerback. Listen, there's a possibility. KZ is already a free agent, so for all practical purposes, he's not on the roster. Neil is a free agent, so he's not on the roster. And when you look at contracts that are cap friendly to cut, where you don't lose so much for cutting them, Ricardo Allen's is probably one of the ones that looks the best to cut him and regain some cap space back. Now, does Ricardo Allen go in there, renegotiate, and lower his cap number down? Because I don't think NFL teams are going to be running after Ricardo Allen. Now, Keanu Neal is a different story, where Neal is not going to go past day one, in my opinion, as far as safety. He had a great, if it not for Alex Smith this year at Washington, I got a feeling Keanu Neal had a great chance to be the comeback player of the year after the last 2 years of injury. So you're absolutely right. Safety is something that I definitely think we need to focus on. Thank you, Antonio. I appreciate that. Tidy also says Zach Wilson went from a 5th to 7th round pick as a sophomore to a top 5 pick as a junior. Dude, it happens. And that's what I'm saying. 1 year. And this is not to say that next year you might have a shining star that kind of comes to the front. Shoot, who knows? JD Daniels out of Georgia might mess around and get to that spot this year. We don't know. But we do know of the 4 or 5 guys that I mentioned at quarterback now, because we've seen them play. and we have tape, and we have scouting reports on what these guys are going to do. When you have a number 4 pick in the NFL, you cannot play around. Patrick Surtain looks like he's going to be really good. You can't take him at 4. Parsons looked like he's going to be a nice linebacker. Kind of concerned about him coming off this year, not playing at all this year. But he looks like he's going to be nice. But is he franchise changing nice? Especially when you have 2 linebackers in there right now that are pretty good. You can never have too many, but I'm not sure you would use that draft pick on Parsons right now. I don't think you do. Michael says, I'm hoping that the Dolphins don't help another team out and let them take our spot, and that team takes the quarterback we wanted. And that's what I'm talking about as far as at number 4. You have a good chance. Look, you can't take all 4 quarterbacks because it's only 3 teams ahead of you. So you can't take all 4. You have to look right now with the Atlanta Falcons and say, if Matt Ryan is still on the trajectory, which is contrary to belief and contrary to fan love and respecting that, but his trend is going down, do you want to wait till rock bottom before you get a new quarterback? He's not rock bottom yet. But how good are you going to feel bypassing a chance to get a future quarterback and then knowing that you let Matt Ryan stay on this team for the next 2 or 3 years and he's going to be making, as his trajectory is going down, $35 million this year, 40-something million the next year, 30-something million the next year. You're not going to, that doesn't make any sense. You get your future now. You do, that's what you do. Toddy, thank you. Said, couldn't Ricardo saves us $4 million on the cap, and it's his last year under contract. I don't see him being here at all next season. I don't either. It doesn't make financial sense, but sometimes how they work something out to maybe restructure. But to your point, I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe these guys have a different feeling on these on this team, and maybe, who knows, maybe these folks coming in may not see Ricardo Allen's IQ as something to keep around. That was the big thing about Ricardo Allen. He was like a coach on the field. He's whatever. Well, they're saying, well, dude, we got a new coach now. Dean Pease looks like he's going to be able to coach these guys up. I don't need a coach on the field. I need players on the field. I'll do the coaching. That's just a thought. Hey, Homer, how you doing, man? Octavia says, I hope we are able to re-sign Neal. If there was anybody that I would try my best this year to re-sign, it would be Neal. But I will tell you this, he's not going to come cheap. And I think if you have an opportunity to draft a really good safety, I think you go do that. I still think that the Falcons, I think they're going to go and look for a veteran cornerback to be on the other side of AJ. I do. I think Oliver will be on the bench. Right now, don't get mad, y'all. Oliver was probably, as much as I hate it too, Oliver is probably going to be here because he's still right now pretty cheap. He's probably pretty cheap, and we can't really afford to go out and get a lot of other people. But not having him start would be a whole different thing. Who knows what they're going to do with Sheffield? Does Sheffield stay at the cornerback position? Does he drop down to free safety? Who knows? We got to figure out what's going to happen with that. And, look, we haven't even seen a lot of Hawkins yet. We saw a little bit of him. But where is he going to be in this whole thing? He still might turn out to be something after these guys, after these guys come out. Octavia said, I like Javon Holland from Oregon as a free safety. RJ says, I hope Marlon Davidson has a breakout season and Dan Pease gets the best out of him. I like Marlon Davidson. And obviously, we saw too little of him at the beginning of the year. We know he had some injury, and then I think the COVID protocols and all that stuff happened earlier this year. I'm hoping he comes back. It's kind of hard to judge him this year. It's kind of hard to judge a lot of the young guys this year because, listen, COVID played havoc on everything. So hard to judge these guys. I hope that this Dean Pease guy is the one who's gonna help turn this place around. I'm gonna tell you this, and I want it's my own just PSA, man. Falcon fans, don't get sucked in by all this. We're gonna get them from the left. We're gonna get them from the right. We're gonna come from everywhere. I'm so sick and tired of people telling me what they're gonna do. Just go do it. I'd rather hear soft-spoken Arthur Smith all day tell me, what the plan is. I don't need the Dan Campbell biting at the knees, rah. Boy, I was saying to myself, when Dan Campbell was on that press conference for Detroit Lions, I was saying, man, Dan Quinn is probably sitting home. It's like, wow, he's great. I don't need all that. We're gonna bite him off at the knees. We're gonna tear him off a rim. I was waiting for him to do Hulk Hogan. Come on, brother. We're gonna. I was waiting for that to come during the press conference. I was like, what is that? And when I heard Dean Pease talk the other day about we're gonna get him from the left and get him from the right, I'm cool with that. But dude, just coach the team up, man. Save all that for the inside talk and rallying the folks. Around here, we heard a lot of rally talk. We heard a lot of, the brotherhood and all of that. All the talk is done. Let's try to put it on the field. I'm just sick and tired of rhetoric, man. Rhetoric does me no good. Derek says, I agree with getting a cornerback opposite of AJ. Homer says, with good coaching, who knows, Oliver struggles in coverage at times, but he could definitely tackle. Listen, Oliver, maybe with the right coaching, he can be good. I tell you what, he had a decent end of 2019. Last year, he kind of reverted back a little bit to our old lovable Oliver, who looked like he was out of place a few times. But hey, who knows? With the right coaching, yeah. But everybody get ready. He's going to be on the team. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Brother JL says, if crab legs are on sale for $4 a pound and you need crab legs, what you go wait until everybody else got some before you go get some, thinking that they always go be there and that you got some. Go get what you need while you can. Translation for those who didn't understand that, please go get a quarterback. That's what that means. Matter of fact, dude, I need to get you in here real quick. I'm going to put my stuff in here while I'm signing this stuff on. Leonard says, hey, what's up, Steve? Hope you enjoyed your birthday. Thank you, sir. Hopefully with the new coaching staff, the players will be held accountable for their actions. No more of that clapping when they do something wrong. Yeah, that's annoying too. That's almost Pop Warner-ish. But yeah, I'm so sick of hype. I'm so sick of dude, I'm telling you, and I don't know why this makes me so mad, and it's not even my team, but those Detroit fans up there, I'm telling y'all right now, I feel bad for y'all. Because this guy right here, I think he's kind of a joke. I know he was in New Orleans, and I remember a little bit of his antics before. I just hope that the talent comes through on that team. But that kind of coach right there, he makes Rex Ryan look straight with all of that blowhard and junk like that. I can't stand that. Michael says, look at the Rams. They gave up the house. They knew Goff was not going to get them the chip. Us, on the other hand, hang on the mat. Rams have a winning attitude. That's what we need to get. And the winning attitude is right. Now, I'm hoping you're not suggesting that we try. The difference, and I'll say the difference, Michael, in that particular situation was, one, Matthew Stafford is 32. Two, Jared Goff, in order to get Jared Goff to come over there, the Rams had to send a little bit more because Jared Goff was much more expensive, believe it or not, than Matt Stafford. I love that Detroit had the gumption to go do what they did. I don't think Detroit is in the same salary cap situation we are. So from that standpoint, that's where that's the difference to me. I think our situation is definitely a little different. Armani, how you doing? Say happy belated, and we got a quarterback with that pick. To get a quarterback with that pick, everything else in the second round or later. I'm with you. JR says, what do I always say? Get it off the paper, put it on the field. RJ said, Dan Campbell was something good, brother. Steve, he wasn't in his right frame of mind. Yeah, I don't know, man. That just gets under my skin, that rah-rah stuff. The rah-rah stuff gets under my skin. If you're 14-2, I'm almost feeling you. But you hadn't done anything yet. I need you to, Tidy says, former Falcon cornerback Brian Poole is now a free agent. Do we call his agent? I assumed he wouldn't be too expensive. Now, he's coming off that Jets contract, if I'm not mistaken. I would give him a call. Why not? I don't know. To be honest, I kept up with him for 1 year after he left, and I haven't kept up with him since, so I don't know whether he has fallen off or whatever, but I know he was very serviceable when he was here for the Falcons and very instrumental in the Super Bowl run that we had. I would not have a problem with bringing him in if the price is right. Anthony, the Rams gave up 2 first-round picks to get him, then turned around and gave 2 first-round picks to get rid of him. Hey, man. Listen, they got part of what they wanted. They got a Super Bowl out of it, a Super Bowl trip, at least. Some will say, who knows? That might be worth it. Anthony White, Dan Campbell got a job, but Eric Bieniemy didn't. Crazy. I'm gonna put something in here and right quick about Eric Bieniemy. I'm glad you mentioned that, Anthony. And this is gonna be something that I want to make sure that people understand I'm on the right side of, because listen, we do need opportunities for folks of color, and more specifically Black coaches in the NFL. I will say that. There's no doubt. And we did end up hiring this year a Black coach. Do y'all think it's weird that Eric Bieniemy started the year as the hottest offensive coordinator, soon to be a head coach, and not one team hired him? Now, you heard the rumors about he didn't do well in the interview. I saw a couple of back and forth tweets, and I can't remember the exact source about whether he did good in interviews or not. But is it odd to me? And let me make it clear. When I'm saying the odd, I'm not even talking race. I'm talking about, did they think he was a good candidate? Because there were other candidates that were brought in and got jobs. And Robert Saleh got a job. The guy from Houston down there. So did Bieniemy? And it goes back to something I was saying all along. Is Bieniemy a product of just being in the right place under Andy Reid? I don't know. I don't know because I'm not in those interviews. I haven't heard an undercurrent just criticizing him, saying, yeah, he's not very good in interviews. He's not very good. Because my thing is, I'll even say this. For some of these young guys that I see getting jobs, you're not going to sit there and tell me every last one of them not to interview out totally. I don't know. But it's amazing to me, out of 7 jobs that he wasn't able to land one. And don't tell me it's because Kansas City is still in the playoffs and whatever. We waited on Dan. Everybody knew we were going to hire Dan Quinn after the second week Seattle was in the playoffs. And we had to wait until Seattle lost in the Super Bowl. But everybody knew he was going to be the new coach. So what is it about Eric Bieniemy? Is it true? Maybe, when I'm looking at him on the sideline, but I see Andy Reid like arm's length away from him with his sheet, still talking into a mic and I saw it. I'm not trying to say that Andy Reid calls plays. I'm saying maybe EB is calling plays, but maybe there was something in that interview process that people are picking up and saying, maybe not. And then I listened to Andy Reid the other day say he was really ticked off that he didn't get an opportunity. What is it? It's got to be something. I don't know. I thought I heard somebody say something about something personal, and I haven't had a chance to look whether it was something personal in his background a while ago. And sometimes I know some people are a little bit afraid to even open Pandora's box when you start talking about incidents in the past and stuff. They have a tendency to come back to haunt you when you get a very high profile job. And trust me, NFL head coach is very high profile. But I don't know. Is that just me, folks? Help me out. Tell me what's up with that. I don't know. Yeah, I'd say Mike says EB got screwed again. Lisa, how you doing? Say yes. I was just talking about Bieniemy today with a friend. Very weird that he was the hot name for head coaches at the beginning once the coaching vacancies became available. Now he's going to end up with one this year. Now, and JR comes up next right behind you and says maybe he's the next head coach at KC. There was also a thought of that to me. If Andy Reid wins this next year, nobody's going to mistake Andy Reid for Bill Belichick at all. And I don't know how old Andy Reid is, and maybe he plans on retiring and they give the job to Eric Bieniemy. I don't know. But that is a thought. That is really a thought. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anthony says Dan Campbell got okay. We did that. Derek, I like Mike Davis from Carolina here, not as a starter, but he's a great blocker. Catch out of the backfield. I know he's a local kid from here too, so maybe that could be something for the right price. Again, we're not even trying to get a 1 year $5 million thing like we did with our brother Gurley. Anthony, Arthur Smith looks like he's an HR hire for the Falcons. I'm almost wondering about that too, Anthony. I wondered did Fontenot, because remember, Fontenot couldn't officially get the job until the Saints were done. I almost wondered did Fontenot have something to do with Smith's hire or not. I don't know. Orion says since Kansas City is in the Super Bowl, he can't sign until after the game, right? He can't sign, but again, if the team wants you that bad, he can interview. Because let's go back to the Dan Quinn hire here. Dan Quinn interviewed that first, I think Seattle had a bye week going into the year that they lost to New England. And he interviewed that week. The Falcons stood pat. They interviewed folks. They brought in Rex Ryan. They brought in some other folks. But they knew they were going to hire him, so they held pat. There was no rush. If you know that's going to be your quarterback, that's a quarterback. If you knew that was going to be your head coach, there's no rush. So from that perspective, they waited. So just because he's still coaching in the playoffs, if your team says, oh, that's my guy, after the interview they gave him, then you'll wait. What's the difference between 2 weeks and 3? I mean, unless somebody, and Dan Quinn probably knew I'm going to take this job anyway, so he probably wasn't saying anything. So again, if a team told Eric Bieniemy, listen, I'm offering you the job, you good, it's up to you, let us know as soon as you leave. You know, there's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They knew he was going to get the job. Of course they did. Of course they did. Amari, can we make the same case for Doug Peterson and Jim Harbaugh? Both were under Andy Reid. I mean, there is a case that for Doug Peterson, when Doug Peterson got hired by the Eagles, you know, there were a lot of people that were saying, yeah, he's a good offensive mind, but he was under that Andy Reid tree. How was he going to do? Well, he ended up doing okay for himself, won Super Bowl. And listen, I'm not trying to say, in none of this speech am I trying to doubt the intelligence of Eric Bieniemy, but I'm trying to also think that's 7 teams. And if you're the number 1 seed, which he was going into this year as the next head coach, 7 different teams looked at you and said, nah, you're not going to be the one. I don't get that. Armani, he did have a domestic violence case. I thought that's what it was. And I couldn't remember if that's what it was. And like I said, sometimes people are afraid to go that route. And especially with a leadership job like that, sometimes I don't know. So maybe that was it. I just find it hard to believe that 7 teams out of 7 teams, not one bit on him being a head coach. I don't know. That's hard for me. That's hard to say. Octavia says, I like Chris Carson as a running back for us entrepreneurs, sir. He gets injured every year. No, sir. Dave, what's going on, man? How many of those jobs were attractive enough for Bieniemy to take? Watson wants out of Houston. Jets are in rebuild. We're in a cap mess. Lions are the Lions. Eagles would cram wets down his throats. Why take any of those jobs? But here's the thing, David. Eric Bieniemy was out there publicly saying, I want a job, and was disappointed that he didn't get a job, as Andy Reid was the other day in the press, saying he was disappointed that he didn't get a job. So that doesn't fly with me about looking at each situation. No, because you're a freshman head coach. You're a freshman head coach. You want the opportunity. It would be one thing if you were a veteran coach and you had coached before in the NFL and you were coming back to the situation. I would almost see that. You have an opportunity to get one of the elite sports jobs, one of 32 in sports, a head coach of an NFL team. You're not going to sit here and try to tell me that, yeah, the Jets are the Jets. Yeah, no. Matter of fact, shoot, the Jets job, $70 million in cap space, the number 2 pick in the league, the number 2 pick in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the number 1 team, even though they seem like they had their mindset on Urban Meyer from the beginning. Yeah, the top job and the top pick in the NFL, it was probably Trevor Lawrence. You got $70+ million in cap room. No, that doesn't fly with me. You would take that opportunity. Now, if you're going to be that picky, then maybe you will wait. And more power to him if he did. But I don't get the sense from listening to his coach speak about disappointment. I don't see. Now, if Andy Reid came out the other day and was saying, well, I don't know if these jobs are worth it, then I would say something. But he was disappointed. That means that somebody behind the scenes is saying, yeah, I don't know if Eric is going to be the guy. I'm not sure if I want him in front. And that's a prerogative of an owner. Armani, which we have all made mistakes in the past, the domestic violence case years ago shouldn't have hurt him. And Armani, that's true. But in the public perception sometimes has a way of getting in the way of true legal, whether legally he can have that job or not. So what I'm saying is, if there is a case where domestic violence was involved 10 years ago, and you've paid your penance, you've paid your dues, you've done your time, if you did time, you've gone on the record saying how much you apologize, you've done everything you can, and you come up to 2021, there are people that are worried that when they hire you, that they're still going to have a faction of public perception that you're hiring somebody who had a domestic violence case. Is it fair? I don't have a $1 billion club whose image can be tarnished. You see what I'm saying? So if you bring somebody in and that was a factor, I'll give you a perfect example right up the road in Flowery Branch. Our buddy who quarterbacked for the team, who was convicted of, the dog fighting stuff, paid his dues, did all of that, went to jail, got out, apologized more times than I'll ever hear somebody apologize in their life, did PSAs even for Peter. And the day we had the closing of the Georgia Dome, there were folks still upset that he stepped foot in that Georgia Dome and was paraded around as a hero. Some people can't let go. So I'm just using that as an example. I'm not trying to get in the whole Vic thing, but which he did get the biggest ovation, by the way, going around. But I'm saying there are some people, some factions that will never, ever, 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 ever let go. And this is not in any way demeaning the case of any domestic violence act. So I am very much, I would understand if somebody would have a problem with that. But I don't know. I don't know if that was it or not. I'm not sure. Let me go back. Maybe I think I said that. Derek says, Bieniemy had few problems in college with the authority. DUI banned from University of Colorado at one time. He was a really good running back. I remember that. Abel, some people can't forgive. It's a shame. And it is a shame. It is a shame. But I'm saying, and this is not saying, so anybody take this tape out and say, Steve said they didn't hire him, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are people that can't let go of certain aspects, no matter whether they have been forgiven or not. Michael said, Steve, I can see the kid from Rattler from Oklahoma being a high prospect when it's time for him to be drafted. Steve said, Mike said, Vic paid his dues, people still on him, which I don't agree with. And it's going to happen. And he's learned to live with it. He probably knows it's more people that support him that don't. Anthony says they make all this fuss about the enemy, Vic, and etc., but not a peep about Wheeler nearly beating up his girlfriend. I'm glad you brought that up. And I don't mean this to make the and I don't mean this to try to turn this into this, but I'm gonna take one second. The Wheeler start this whole thing. Domestic violence has no place in life, sports, anywhere. None. Zero. Let's get that straight from the beginning. Somebody else on another post was telling me about kind of like what you were saying, Anthony, about the Wheeler guy from Seattle. And they were comparing it to Ray Rice. And I'm going to tell you, that kind of got to me a little bit, and I'm going to tell you why. Ray Rice was the starting running back. I think he was a Pro Bowler, if I'm not mistaken. Starting running back for the Super Bowl winning team, Ravens. He was one of the best running backs in the league at that time when he got into his case. Ray Rice tried to deceive. The NFL tried to cover up. Everybody not only got egg in their face, but Ray Rice ended up being ostracized. And in some ways, I kind of, kind of deserved a little bit of that at the time. And I say that because he didn't go to jail. Because when the video came out and you saw him hit that young lady and knock her out, that was ugly. That was shaky. That was scary. He was a top tier NFL player. Of course, the media is going to be all over that. That was like in 2013 or 14, 13, whatever year it was. NFL screwed up. He screwed up. That whole situation was funky. The girlfriend, eventually wife, did not want to testify. They couldn't do anything. That whole thing in one eggshell was why you got so much publicity. This idiot here, Wheeler, is a journeyman at best. And the NFL, who has learned their lessons from 2012, 13, whatever it was, immediately cut him, immediately disowned themselves from him. And this guy is going to jail, folks. This is not going to be NFL securities. We're looking at the tapes and blah, 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 blah. He's going to jail. There's not a lot more to that story. The story is he screwed up. He injured and almost killed that young lady. He's going to pay for it, and it's over. So when everybody comes with the why isn't Wheeler, and I know what y'all playing. Y'all trying to play because his color of skin was different than Ray Rice. I'm not that dumb. When you come with that, make sure you come with more context. That particular one doesn't match up as far as because he was white, he was treated different. No, he was treated different because he was a scrub. And as a scrub, he not only got taken care of real quick, but he's out of the league. He won't be in the league, and he's probably going to be in jail for a little while, as he should, because the pictures of that young lady were gross. Ray Rice, because of the foolishness the NFL was doing and how they let it slide, Ray Rice was able to marry the young lady, carry on his life. Now, he didn't spend another day in the NFL. That was his punishment. But he didn't spend a day in jail. So for those folks that are trying to equate those two stories, stop. The only two things that are absolutely the same in that story, that two young ladies got hit and beat unnecessarily. Stop with the because he was in. No, in this particular case, Ray Rice got over. Yeah, he was painted on every single magazine, TV show because the video was atrocious. And he should have been. This stupid scrub who was in this particular situation, he got taken care of. So stop that. Stop that. You can't play that with me this time. I don't like that. I don't like that. Lisa said that Ray Rice video makes me cringe to this day. That was absolutely despicable. And it was. And it was. Absolutely. Let me switch. Let me pivot real quick because I didn't want to spend time going over that all day. And I know that was a hot button topic that we went to. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about real quick is we got a decision to make, folks. And I know, judging by what I've already heard from your comments, and there are some of you that want Michael Parsons. There are some that want Sewell, the guy from Oregon. There are some of you that want Surtain from Alabama. But let's just play along for a second. The Atlanta Falcons, whether you believe they should pick or not, the Atlanta Falcons this year are probably, well, in the next 2 years, 2 to 3, the Atlanta Falcons are probably going to end up having somebody else at quarterback for this team. This is not to say that you cannot have your pom-poms and still root for Matt Ryan. This is not saying that if I see Matt Ryan start day one, I'm disowning the Falcons. That's not what I'm saying. I am 100% behind Matt Ryan. I hope Matt Ryan does well. I don't know how he's, what's going to go on with him. But I will say this. If he's the quarterback of the team, I'm going to support him because he's the quarterback of my team. But if right now, this second, there was a move made for Matt Ryan, there are some folks going out there. I see some rumors saying that maybe the Chicago Bears might be interested in it. I'm not going to read it more into it until you see something that's more concrete. Maybe Chicago, maybe who was the other team that I heard somebody say? I forgot that quick. But let's just play the game. Trevor Lawrence is going to be gone. Trevor Lawrence is basically might as well go ahead and buy his house in Jacksonville. He's not going past number one. If you had your pick right now on which quarterback you had, your Terry Fontenot, which quarterback would you choose to be the leader of your next few years? Is it Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, or Mac Jones? And I throw Mac Jones in there because there are some who tend to believe that he could possibly be serviceable for some team. So let's look at all of them. Justin Fields, very heroic, courageous effort he gave in both games, to be honest with you, especially against Clemson when he had the hip pointer. And that hip pointer is no joke. That hurts. That hurts. And he had a wonderful game against Clemson, got to the game against Alabama. Of course, Alabama, it wasn't a matter of Alabama's defense stopping you. It was what you were going to do to stop Alabama's offense. So Justin Fields ran into a buzzsaw. Justin Fields, can he be your next Atlanta Falcon quarterback? Zach Wilson from BYU. For those of you who haven't had an opportunity, folks, please go look at some tape of Zach Wilson. A lot of his games would come on as I was getting off work late at night because they're on the West Coast, and you got a chance to see him play. And I'm going to tell you what, Zach Wilson is not a joke. He's actually pretty good. Very athletic, strong arm, really good on that team. I think he's one of those guys that at the beginning of the year, it was Lawrence Fields. Then slowly toward the middle of the year, you start hearing more people talk about Zach Wilson entering that conversation. Trey Lance played one game this year, opted out for the rest of the year, but had the year before where he threw for 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. If you look on the field and watch him play, dude, he's very, very similar to some of the things that you saw. Man, and he just zipped out of my mind that quick. Josh Allen. Kind of the same type of escape ability. He wasn't trying to run for 100 yards all the time. And he has an arm. He has a rocket arm, which you have some receivers on this team that can go get it. So, Trey Lance or Mac Jones, do you go with the proven winner? Is Mac Jones overrated for having a 70% completion percentage because he had two of the best wide receivers in the country? Because he had probably the best play action game in the country because Najee Harris is running behind him? Kind of hard to tell you. But somebody had to get the ball out there to the receivers. And he did a great job of that this year. I would almost argue he probably had a better chance to me of winning the Heisman this year than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence didn't play a couple of games, not to his fault, but he did. So I think you have a nice decision to make. Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, or Mac Jones. Who do you think? All right. So Darius, what's going on? Says Lance hand down. Lance is really nice. He really is nice. Chadwick, how you doing? Somewhere off the radar. Jermaine says, will Julio stay healthy this coming year? Your guess is as good as mine. Will Julio be on the team next year? Is probably the optimal question. Chadwick says, what about Bennett hurt? Well, that's probably a good little name for it. But yeah, I don't think Ben Kurt is going to be part of the team this year. David says Wilson simply because I don't think Fields gets past the Jets at 2. Now, if Watson gets his wish and gets moved to the Jets, let's get Fields. I don't have a problem with Fields either. I think Fields could. I think Lawrence, to me, I think could start day one. I think Wilson, to me, could start day one. Do we absolutely positively need a day one starter knowing that Matt is probably going to be on the roster? Probably not. So why not get Justin to come in, Trey Lance to come in, learn under one of the most professional quarterbacks you have. His arm might be noodle to some of you, but somebody that I would want him learning under. Truly. David, I'll say Wilson also has a beautiful ball placement. He is good. He is definitely good. Jermaine, trade for Watson. Absolutely not at this point. If you trade for Deshaun Watson, folks, you will have to probably mortgage the next 2 years. You're gonna that investment of Deshaun Watson. You're basically telling Deshaun single-handedly, I need you to make scrubs in the stars. Now, good quarterbacks can. I'm not trying to say he can't, but I also saw Deshaun Watson, while he put up 4,900 yards on his team, they were 4-12 too, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, numbers are okay. We always criticize Matt here about numbers. And there's no doubt, let me make it clear, I'm not trying to say I wouldn't take Deshaun over Matt. But I'm also saying that, yeah, for $40 million, I'm going to need you to wheel me to about 3 more wins, at least. You only came up with 4. And you can't say he didn't have some talent around him. Fuller didn't leave until the end. So I'm not sure about that. Anthony says Fields. Timothy says Wilson all day. I don't mind that at all. Derek says not on the list. Costello from Mississippi State. Nice. Also, somebody else. So I'm glad you said him from Mississippi State. Because I was thinking about Prescott the other day. Kellen Mond, and I'm not saying as a starting quarterback. Kellen Mond is somebody that's kind of intriguing to me from Texas A&M. Yeah, he's somebody that I say, oh, maybe I take a chance on him. Possibly. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. I right now, if I had a choice, folks, right now, and it is very close to me right now between Justin Fields and Trey Lance. I must admit, over the last week, because I've been making sure I paid attention before I start coming on here, and just my son, who has been starting to watch more, he keeps up more on the college edge, so he kind of keeps me informed. Boy, we were watching some of that stuff with Trey Lance from 2019. Ooh, he is nice. Now, I know he played the one game this year, and it was kind of a so-so effort and whatever, but you also saw a couple of his raw abilities during that game. So don't discount that. But I am really in place. I'm really impressed with him. Jermaine, Watson would bring a different spark to his team. I would take that over lackadaisical Matt Ryan. But here's the problem, Jermaine. Nobody's arguing that. Right now, listen, I'll take Aaron Rodgers over Matt Ryan. I mean, how silly is this? Of course you're going to take Deshaun Watson over Matt Ryan. But the problem is right now, what we have to add to that, you have to add what's going on money-wise. This is not going away. Everybody wants the part that we owe Matt Ryan $40 million to go away this year. Everybody wants that part to go away. It's not going away. Whether you want to trade, whether you want to, the hit stays the same. There are not a lot of teams that's going to be, well, the team that would have to get Matt would only have to pay $23 million. But we would have to basically play 7th and 6th round picks and free agents that nobody wants to play if we were to make all those deals with Deshaun. And again, from Houston's standpoint, they're going to want somebody from behind. They're going to want somebody in the back. They got to have a player. And who are the players? Terrell and Calvin Ridley. Derek says Mond had a decent Senior Bowl. And I was watching him too. And he's nice. He's somebody that, and be brutally honest, he kind of reminds me of Dak Prescott. That's why when he mentioned the other thing about Mississippi State, that's why I thought about it. He reminds me a lot of Dak Prescott. He kind of, and I don't know whether you thought that too, Derek, but I think he looks a lot like him. Jermaine says, what about Jalen Hurts? I wouldn't have a problem with Jalen Hurts, but I'm not sure if Philly, after seeing that little sample size of Jalen Hurts, Philly not just going to give him away. What if the Carson Wentz thing is for real? They brought the new coach in. They're hoping that because Doug Peterson was, has definitely fallen out of favor with Carson Wentz, maybe this new guy will come in and kind of spark it back up. But listen, after what I saw from Jalen Hurts those 2 or 3 games, are you going to just kind of give him away? Especially knowing after next year, Carson Wentz is kind of in the same situation with Matt Ryan. After this year, you might be able to do something with Carson. But in the meantime, right now, you got a pretty solid backup. You have a nice, solid backup. I wouldn't give him up. No way. So that's the other thought I had on this. Real quick, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff. Who won that trade? I don't think it's a secret. The Rams right now, if the defense stays the same, the Rams probably move ahead of Seattle with this move. If Matthew Stafford can give any bit of what he gave the last couple of years in Detroit, because it's not like Matthew Stafford was sucking. I think if he stays solid, folks, the Rams might be a really interesting contender in the NFC. If you match that defense up, get Cam Akers, now that they realize Cam Akers is the truth, keep that running game going like it is. They have some receivers, Kupp, Woods, and the tight end. I can't think of the tight end's name at the time. Oh, man, you take that chance. Absolutely. The Rams says Rams won. Chat with the Rams are scary. Anthony, Rams won. RJ, I don't think it makes sense to trade for Deshaun Watson because we are in a great position to draft the future. I think Arthur Smith took the job knowing he has Matt for at least 1 year as a head coach. And that's the other thing, RJ. I don't think anyone is going to sit here and try to pretend like I don't think anybody's going to try to just say, oh, I'm through with Matt Ryan. He's going to try to work with whatever Matt Ryan has left. But at the same time, dude, his day is done. Bring in the next quarterback. And Deshaun Watson, if you get Deshaun Watson, trust me, our draft is going to be you're going to basically have this same team in place. Here's the only problem. I think we had, if I'm not mistaken, I think we had about 15 free agents on our team. It's more than that, but 15 who played significant time on our team this year. So you're going to have to replace a lot of folks. Timothy says Rams have everything for Stafford to make the playoffs, make playoff run in a couple of seasons. Remember, they made the playoffs. They made the playoffs and won the first game. So it's not like they're not a playoff team. But Stafford definitely gives them that extra oomph. Yeah, Jermaine said, look how Stafford did us. Absolutely. Absolutely. And also remembering, too, that, look, the business year, and I can't remember what week it is in February, but it starts up. A lot of this stuff that we're talking about right now, it might be all out the window because there's a certain time where they have to make decisions on who the free agency, when free agency hits, we might end up getting a couple of free agents to. Everybody keeps talking about cornerback. We might go out and sign a cornerback. We might go. That's not to say we can't still get another one. We might go out and get a safety. So I don't know. Derrick Jones, what do you think about getting Sam Ellinger from Texas in the late rounds, if available, to use like Taysom Hill if we keep Matt Ryan? And I was talking about him earlier, Derek, when we first started the broadcast about, is it funny how Sam Ellinger at the beginning of last year was considered to be, at the beginning of last year, everybody was saying how he was going to be the next big thing. He was going to be the first round pick, surefire quarterback, whatever. And you don't even hear his name now. Now, that being said, I'm not trying to say he may still have, he's a talented dude. I just think these other young cats just came up behind him and took his spotlight. I don't know. I think in my late, I think the only quarterback I'll take my quarterback in the draft at the number 4 pick, and I think I'll bring in a veteran. I bring in a veteran for the other quarterback. You already have Matt. You bring somebody else in as a veteran, and then you do that. Michael said, "Oh, brother, that is so awesome, Michael." I said, "I appreciate you. Thank you very much." And yeah, absolutely, do that for me, brother. Because after I finish eating, listen, I'm ready to eat. But after I go eat, I'll be looking for that, and I will do the same to you and return it to you, man. Very, very awesome. I know you just retired. Congratulations, and you deserve that, man. Good job. Great place to go and everything. I will absolutely follow up on that. Thank you, brother. Chadwick, thank you very much for the happy birthday. I appreciate that. Sideria says Matt needs a stud quarterback behind him to make him play better. Take a page from Green Bay and what they did with Rodgers. I love what they did with bringing Jordan Love in there. And then I think that's why he's kind of giving us cold when he says, I don't know what's going to happen. I think that's why he's doing that. Because he wants to say, hey, let me show y'all, I'm not done yet. So great idea. I would bring somebody in a heartbeat. RJ, I know for sure Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot have a plan. I don't care who the quarterback is because I don't pick for players. I'm an Atlanta Falcon fan, and I'm going to trust in the new regime. And this is what that kind of post, it has to be your mindset right now. We don't know if Arthur Smith is going to be gone in 4 years or be a Hall of Fame coach. We don't know if Terry Fontenot was too young for this job or be one of the great minds going into the future. You have to give these folks an opportunity. I do like the fact that he surrounded himself. The Dean Pease hire, to me, I love that for the fact that he's bringing somebody in that truly is a coach who's been around for a long time. It's not saying Arthur Smith doesn't have total experience. He's stayed with Tennessee in some form or fashion, working his way up for 10 years. But it's always good to have a veteran presence on the sidelines with you for those tough times and tough decisions and things of that nature. Good to surround yourself with folks like that. Dave Ragone as the offensive coordinator, even though Arthur Smith has already said from day one he will be calling plays. That's a nice hire as well. I think I like what I've heard so far. And again, very small sample. So let's give them an opportunity. Let's give them an opportunity to see what they got. I just say last thing, brother. I love your live podcast. I enjoy listening to your platform, brother. Keep up the good work. I'm a fan. Much respect to your knowledge in the game and of our Falcons. And every comment that y'all make like that, I really appreciate it. Thank you, RJ. I do this because I love these Falcons, and I know there are folks, and I listen to it. And there's too many good names to mention because I'll leave some of y'all off, but 80% of y'all are in the feed right now. Thank you so much for that compliment. I think the same of you all as fans and what you all give to me and the feedback that you all give to me. I'm actually getting ready to break out myself because I got some food upstairs. I'm getting ready to take care of that. Thank you again for the birthday wishes and all of that. I'll be back next week, and we'll probably do a pre-Super Bowl live right before the Super Bowl just to get a last second who you got, who you're looking for, and see if there's any updates on any personnel changes or anything from Falcon Land and things like this. This is your Uncle Steve joining y'all, man. Y'all take care. Have a great night, and we will catch y'all next week, okay? Take care, Falcon.